So, before we get into discussion, I want to introduce myself to anybody who's on the call who's not familiar with me. My name is Taya. I'm the owner of Black and Company. It is a platform I create exclusively to promote and celebrate authors who identify with the Black diaspora. And something very special to me is to give a platform for up and coming and independent Black authors to have a way for them to promote themselves non-traditionally. So I'm very excited to be able to do that work today by having Monique with us on this live. So thank you so much for joining with me. I know it was kind of hard getting with you. I know you got the books coming up, but I'm so glad that you're able to sit with us for the next hour and get to talk about Black love and literature.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for considering me to be on here. I love what you're doing, and yeah, I I love the reason I love what you're doing is because as a reader, I needed platforms like this growing up, or in my 20s or 30s. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, what you're doing is amazing.
Thank you.
It's
I
amazing.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. So, anybody who's not familiar with you or your work, do you mind giving us a brief overview about how you started to become writing and anything else you want to share with us?
So I'm in Monique, but I have been writing for years, since I was in high school, well, elementary school, middle school, high school. I used to just write like little short stories. Um, and I didn't really start writing until my early 20s. Um, and I just always placed it, put it back down because either, distractions would come, things like that. I would think, and in my mind, because I'm not a little. I try to see everything spiritually. So I was like, maybe this is not my path, you know what I'm saying? Because every time I went to write, chaos would ensue, right? I would have so much chaos going on around me. So I just figured that wasn't my path. But then I ended up, I was in 2019, I ended up having to go on medical leave due to some issues I was having. And I had to have surgery and all this big deal stuff. And I'm like, God, if you wake me up, I'm going to live my life. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do, da, 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 da. I published my first book 3 months after that. So that's really how I got truly into this. I've been, writing, but I wasn't like actively in spaces where I could learn about certain things, find publishers, any of that. We have internet and Google and all that, but child, they'll give you the runaround on there. I wasn't on social media, but then I got on social media. That's how I met my first publisher, at the time. And here I am. Here I am.
Yeah. So when you first decided that you wanted to publish your first book, what kind of writer did you envision yourself to be?
Ooh. I am a romantic suspense girly to my heart. I love romantic suspense, and I think when I first started, I knew that I wanted to add elements of suspense or elements of mystery in my books. I didn't heavily dive into that until I wrote Uncovering Love. If anybody has read my Smith series, there are little girls, it's my favorite. There are little signs of me in those books where I love suspense, but I truly dove headfirst into it with Uncovering Love, Blue. There's a little bit in Kingston, and there's none in August because August, his direction was different than the other 3 books. So I'm a romantic suspense, and that's why I know that's my lane. But also I don't put myself in a box. Like, if you've read any of my holiday books, those are romance. I don't consider those, having any type of suspense or anything like that. So I just write what comes to me. Honestly, whatever my mind conceives, that's what I'm going to write. And most times it just happens to be romantic suspense, but I do have other things in the works that are not romantic suspense. So
That's
Mm-hmm.
a good question. That's one. I'm glad you said that because I was going to ask you, do you have any desires to write outside of romance? That was going to be a later question, but do you have those desires to write outside of romance?
I have already started a paranormal. I mean, it's romance, but it's
Okay.
paranormal. I've been working on that for 2 years, and when I tell you I'm trying to get it right, I'm trying to get it right. I have I want to write YA. That's a big goal of mine because I started writing YA as a high school kid. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So I want to dive back into that. I do write children's books. Like I do a lot of things that just doesn't center around romance, but
Mm-hmm.
I do like to get my feet wet in a lot of things. And
Mm-hmm.
I, at some point in the future, once I have built my catalog up enough, romantic suspense wise, I want to dive like into historical romance. Like I love historical romances. Child, I'm just not in the box. Like I'm gonna write whatever, especially if the characters talk.
Mm-hmm.
If the characters talk to me, they coming out. So yeah.
So, where do you find inspiration? I think for your first novel, A Thug Has Feelings too, right?
Yes, A Thug Has Feelings 2 was a book I started writing when I was 21 years old. I released that book when I was 36.
So, when did you
And
know that it was time to be released? You know.
I I got sick, and when I was home and after I woke up from surgery and I knew I was going home, I was like, okay, it's time to get to it. I had started looking up publishing companies, but then it was, do I want to self-publish? Do I want to go to a publisher? I didn't know what to do because again, I was not on social media. I only joined social media after the fact, after I had surgery and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. Like I got on there, and one of the first posts I saw was a friend of mine who worked with me. Y'all, this I tell this story, but y'all got to understand why I think of things spiritually. Um, I was at work because I went back to work, even though. Anyway, I went back to work for like a couple of weeks, and one of the girls who worked with me, I've known since I was 14 years old. But she worked for a different doctor, so I would have to walk around the corner to get to her office. Even though we were in the same building, she kind of was like around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm on Facebook and I see her post, hey, y'all give me some authors to read, right? So I'm like, put my 2 cents in because that's my lane, girl. That's all I do all day is read, right? This was before my kids was older, you know what I'm saying? I had little kids. So
Mm-hmm.
I give her my little list of 10 authors to read. And one of those authors said thank you. And that to me kind of like was a pivotal moment in my life because first of all, I had never talked to any of these authors that I've ever fought. These books that y'all see on these shelves, I have never met these people prior to where I am, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to see an author say thank you, it blew my mind. Like I talked about it for 2 weeks, okay? And when I actually got to talk to this author and get to know her, she became my publisher, but it
Oh
was
wow.
just funny because as soon as when she said thank you, I'm like, hold up, I know this ain't so and so telling me thank you. So she friended me on Facebook and I about passed out and I'm like, oh my God. So this is me as a reader. This wasn't
Mm-hmm.
me as the writer. And I'm still that way to this day. So I was like, okay, let me, gather my emotions because I was literally tripped out.
Mm-hmm.
And like a couple of days after that, I saw her post on Facebook that she was accepting submissions.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, God, what you trying to tell me? Because I don't know what's going on right now.
Yeah.
You really messing with me right now, right? So I didn't submit anything to her at that time.
Okay.
I let it go. I didn't submit anything. But then she made that same post like that February. And I remember sending her my book on February like the 26th. Because I said, okay, because mind you, I had already told him I was going to do what I was supposed to do, right? But then I had backed out because I got scared.
Mm-hmm.
So when she posted it again, I saw that as my opportunity. I only had half of my book. I didn't even have half of the book completed. Mind you, this is a book I had been working on since I was 21.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt like it was so much chaos that just wasn't my lane. But girl, As soon as I got that email saying, hey, look, I don't know what you got going on, but I need the rest of that book, I was like, oh. So needless to say, on my birthday, February 28th, was the day I signed with a publisher.
Oh wow.
And it was here I am. Like, I can't take no credit for that. All I did was step outside of my comfort zone, which social media is not my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
I It ain't. It ain't. I just I get on here because I engage with readers and about books and things like that. But outside of this reader space and author space, I'm not really a social media person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very much introverted.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it started, child. And my inspiration just, for that book was just because I had been writing on it since I was 21, and I knew that's the book I wanted to start with because I had a family that I wanted to follow,
Mm-hmm.
and that's exactly what I did. I just kept going.
So, what aspects of romance did you want to make sure that you included in that book and in that series? Starting off.
A strong man who was hood and just wait, well, because there's a listen. First of all, I'm from Florida, born and raised, right? And I have met these type of like men who are just very hood, but they know still how to be good men. Like they know how to treat a woman. And I feel like once I saw that and was able to see that with my own eyes, I knew I wanted to write strong. I knew none of my characters were gonna cheat. And y'all will never catch that in the Monique book. None of my characters like do that calling out the name type stuff. Like, and I'm not saying that that's a norm, but I knew that's what I did not want for my characters. Like, I just feel like I was raised with both sets of my grandparents, and I just have not seen. I never saw disrespect.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Like, even if it was there, I was oblivious to it because I just wasn't used to a man being disrespectful to a woman because my grandparents raised me, you know what I'm saying? And my mama raised me, and I just ain't see that type of stuff. Now I saw it in school and stuff like that, but I ain't see it at home. So I just knew I wanted to give readers what I grew up with. So that's what I did. And sometimes you find stuff out after your grandparents dead and gone, and you be like, nah, now what? But to have known any of that while they were present here on this earth, no, I can wholeheartedly tell you that I know my grandmother on my dad's side was loved by that man she had, okay? And my grandmama on my mama's side, her and even though her and my granddad had their issues, that man knew what woman he had, and she knew what she had. And they had 12 kids together. I got a big family on both sides of my family, like 13 on my dad, I think, and 12 on my mama. And this is what I mean by stuff you don't find out till after the fact. I was in high school when I found out my granddaddy had 33 kids. 27 on paper, but 33 we know about. So that's what I'm saying, like stuff like that. Like, man, what was you doing? But you know what I'm saying? But I can't tell you a time that I can ever say that I did not see that woman without a smile on her face or just a happy woman. You know what I'm saying? I can't tell you. Can't.
So
oh Lord, I ain't embarrassed by it, y'all. They ain't embarrassed by it either. Third child on paper 27, but we know it's more. Like I'm gonna bring it home for y'all. In 2021, either 2020 or 2019, my mom did her DNA ancestry and she found a sister who's the oldest sister still living, and she's 86 years old. My mama is 63 this year. My oldest auntie on my mom's side is 73 this year. So it's like he had kids way before he even started having kids with my grandma. It's stuff you learn. Like in this sibling that they found that they got to know and everything. My auntie D, never had siblings growing up. So imagine going from having no siblings and you're 80 years old and now you got a whole entire family.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's just
That's
it's
crazy.
why I read books, y'all. See,
So,
girl, my granddaddy was a Rolling Stone. Okay.
so you mentioned that your grandparents were inspiration for the
Uh-huh.
characters behind some of your books, or at least the love that they
Yeah.
shared.
Yeah.
And you say you're a big reader of other
Mm-hmm.
romance novels. So when you're writing, how do you make sure that you kind of maintain a level of originality and authenticity in your book?
So actually, I don't read. And it's not because I don't want to read. I'm just always actively writing. Um, when I do take a break, I have the series that I'm going to start with, but most times I do my best. Like especially if I know it's going to be a book that I really am going to get immersed in, I won't touch it unless I'm going on a writing break, because it is easy to get something in your mind
Mm-hmm.
and and translate it into your work, and I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I support every single author that I come across. That's why these shelves are full, because I am always buying books, because I know at some point writing, the characters may not speak. I can take breaks and things like that. So I already got my first series lined up when I go on a writing break that I'll be going on in probably a couple of months here. Um, but prior to becoming Monique and writing books, that's all I did every single day since the age of 16. So I have amassed so many books over the years, and I'm rebuilding my library. But before this one that I have now, I had over like 400 books, um, and that was before indie authors and Amazon. You see what I'm saying? That was when it was still, you had to go to the store and buy books. You had to go to Barnes and Noble or Books a Million or Borders or Walden Books. I'm telling y'all my age, but that's look and imagine. And I was living and I wasn't living in places that heavily carried us. And I hate to say that, but that's the truth. Um, so I read a lot of books that were not by people that look like us.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once access came to read us, and I saw that I love. Look, I was gonna post a status today, and I erased it because I said I ain't gonna start no mess today. But it's the fact that I will always bet on black, right? I always bet on black indie authors, because the way a lot of them run in circles around a lot of folks is insane.
It is.
It's insane. Like, and this is coming from somebody who's read extensively. Like, I've read some of every walk. Okay, so it's like mine too. So it's like I just sit back and think, y'all gonna keep talking about urban fiction, but y'all just don't know. Y'all gonna keep talking about black romance in general, or black anything in general, and not know we sitting back running circles. But it's all good.
I've said multiple times. I'm like, why? I don't understand. Like, why aren't these books in store? I know why they're not in stores, but I just can't wrap my head around it because some of the best writing have been from
It's
Black
all,
indie authors.
girl, I'm telling you, that's why I'm like, I don't even, it's like the argument, it's so draining to have with people who don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we get it, but to have that argument with people that don't get it is complicated. So it's like talking to brick walls.
Mm-hmm.
And brick walls can still come tumbling down. And I do feel like that will happen in the literary world, because we creating great stuff out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's got to be noticed at some point
Mm-hmm.
that is great writers over here. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's me.
I know Black romance gets a lot of flack for a number of reasons, and we're not trying to be negative because we want to talk about love and positivity on this live. But how do you balance showcasing the complexities of Black love while also portraying, real struggles? But it's like, it's just love. But how do you
Right.
balance that?
So what I like to do with my characters is make them real, right? So just because they have issues does not mean that the issues have to overtake their story. So real life, right? So and people want to escape when they open up a book. Like I don't want to I like to give characters complex things that they go through, but I also like to make it to where it's still enjoyable. I don't want to make it to where, like, you know what I'm saying, look, my own life got a lot of jacked up stuff right now. Like, I don't want to be reading about, you know what I'm saying, even if they have in them, I most times give them things that they can overcome. I think the most emotional book that I've written is August because he dealt with grief. And as somebody who compartmentalizes a lot of things, um, it took a while. Like it to unpack a lot of stuff, a lot of the grief he you know what I'm saying, he was going through. But when I was done with that book, I was so happy. But I was the most nervous about his book because it was different than the other ones, right? But I loved how he grew up. And even though he had some things in his past, he grew up. He learned from it. He, you know what I'm saying, he learned from his mistakes. And that's real life to me. You just learn from the things you've already been through or gone through, and you try not to repeat those same things. And that's what I love to do in my romance novels. Like I just like to give like good vibes and and a storyline and a plot, a real plot. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah.
So is it the feelings that you want to convey? Is it the banter? What about like your story in particular really, I think, drives, like, how do I say this? What is it about your storytelling that is really attracting the big chunk of your audience? Is it the feelings that they kind of feel? Like, is it the banter between the characters? Is it the complexities of the characters? What do you think is what you're seeing in your books?
I think it's just how can I put this? The men I write are you could potentially meet these men in real life. You know what I'm saying? Like aside from all the pew pew and all that, these are men that you can actually meet in life who just don't play. Like they just have this I love this woman and I also don't play. You know what I'm saying? Like they just get her. They don't mind expressing themselves. They don't mind showing her how much they love her. You know what I'm saying? Like I know men like this. Like I can't say that I don't. Like I know them. And it's like that's why the argument that our men are no good, it doesn't affect me because I see it in my everyday life. You know what I'm saying? And it's just they're out there. It's just it's in books and I like to like I said, I like to talk about stuff that actually and men that actually show how Black love can be portrayed in real life. I don't think I do anything over the top.
Oh,
I don't think I do anything over the top. Like I think this is, you know, I think this is doable. Like I think you should be able to go buy me a car if I'm mad today. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. I mean, look, it sounds great, and
yeah.
I think reading Black romance, a lot of the stories that we read kind of feed into our delusions that the men out here, it's not matching. Because what we're seeing out here is they don't exist. But when we read these stories, we just fall in love with
Mm-hmm.
characters because they're not doing anything like
Yeah.
unheard of. Like this is regular.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm telling you, girl. I got a cousin right now who will get on here and be like, look, that husband of hers, child, I learned at an early age, they will do exactly what you require. They will do exactly what you want. They will do exactly I I love her life for her. I love her life for her. Like, as her cousin, like, I love her life for her. So, yeah, trust me. And my brother, too. Like, my brother, my sister-in-law, girl, she'll get on here right now and tell y'all, look, I don't play about him because she know what she got. Like, I see it in everyday life. It's crazy.
So do you think that's one of the biggest misconceptions about Black romance, that these characters are just, they're totally fiction? Like, y'all creating characters that are just not there. Do y'all
We're
think that's true?
embellishing on men who can actually be good men. That's all we're doing, because there are good men out there. Like, we're just embellishing on those men. Like, that's the best way I can put it. Like, I don't know, it's the best way I can put it. And I can tell you, like, as somebody who's been married to somebody from the streets and married to somebody from the church, I can tell you that street dude, if I call him right now, I call him right now, because me and him are just really close. And the only reason we even know we were ever married is because we got a kid together. You see what I'm saying? But that's forming a relationship. That's forming a bond. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know how else to put it. Now that second ex, he need prayer, but he gonna be all right too. But yeah, but they out here though. You know what I'm saying? Like, they out here.
So you would agree that your stories try to challenge that misconception that,
Very much so. Very much so. I do my best to paint my male characters in a good light. I do not. I do, because even if they off the rails and off the hinges, crazy, I still show that they have that side of them that's just that gentle giant, that gentle spirited person. Like, it don't matter how mean Blue was so mean, and you know what I'm saying? And it's like, man, I really wouldn't even, in real life, I wouldn't want to be around you. That's in real life, I wouldn't want to be around you. But once you get to know these people, then you realize, oh, he ain't crazy for real. He all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, he ain't mean for real. So, yeah.
So from your first book into what you're working on now, how do you think your writing has developed? Like, is there any small
Oh,
details
wow.
or nuances that you started incorporating, like, in your writing, where you know that you took your story to another level?
You know, I have to shout out Siobhan Latrice, because that girl, she know I love her like real bad, right? And I just, my writing, Monique is always going to be Monique. But if it's one takeaway I have from, actually talking to certain authors in this industry, it is slow it down. Like, be detailed, be more detailed. Like, you detail, but be more detailed. Like, can you be even more detailed than what you are? And that girl, she is it. Like, I don't know. That girl blessed and highly favored. But the growth in even my first book to so the growth from A Thug Has Feelings to Uncovering Love is astounding, right? Even though I know how to tell a story, I think that once I stepped fully into writing romantic suspense, I understood what slowing down meant. I understood how to be detailed in a story and to tell the story as detail, like watching a movie. That's how I wrote Uncovering Love. I wrote it as if I was watching a movie. And I wanted to know every detail. You know what I'm saying? That's just like if you go to if your homegirl called you right now and said, I saw so-and-so at the mall that your friend used to date, and he with somebody else, and that she gonna know every single detail, like what he had on, what shoes he had on, like what the girl looked like. Like, no, you skipping, because you just said she had on red shoes, but you said she went inside the shoe store. So what she went inside the shoe store for? You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Like, I just think about, like, scene by scene, like, how can I be detailed and still tell the story without sounding redundant and without sounding like it's doing too much? Because to me, details do matter because I want to know. Like, I want to know, was his haircut? What did he have a fresh retwist? Like, I'm trying to figure out what is going on.
I think that is the beauty of y'all's writing, your writing specifically, that you're able to convey such. I don't know if it's just me and my imagination, but I see everything. Like I
Hmm.
see it all right there in front of me when I'm reading these books, and it's just so beautiful that you guys are able to put so much detail into a work of fiction. And
Hmm.
I'm this should be a movie. This should be a show. Like this is real.
I
She
love it.
interviewed somebody because this is real.
I
Like
love it. I
it's
love it.
really amazing.
That's how, but as a reader, right? That's how I knew what I love to read because I realized I love insta love, but I also love slow burns. So that's
Hmm.
why in my books, it is almost always going to be insta love, but it still may be a slow burn to
Hmm.
them gradually working up to that relationship or gradually going to um, first base because even though they have made it very clear from first sight that they feeling each other, I still like to do slow burn type books, um, especially in romantic suspense. I love like just letting y'all grow with these folks. Like,
Hmm.
yeah.
Do you feel
Like
like
I
you
said, I
kind
love
of
what I do. I love what I do. I just want y'all to know that I love what I do. Okay, so if I'm talking like if I sound like I'm in La La Land, it's because I really do. I am very passionate about what I do.
do you feel like you mastered or at least gotten to some level of writing where you've kind of got the secret sauce on how to create a well-developed character or man or woman, whichever?
My secret sauce, right, is allowing the character to talk.
Hmm.
I tell this story also. August, I wanted him to be a gangster so bad. And every time I tried to write a fight scene or every time I tried to make him a little bit more thuggish than what he was like, no ma'am. Open up another draft and start over. Y'all, my drafts go crazy for August, okay? Um, because he would not let me write him the way I wanted to. He said, I'm healing. I'm on a journey of healing. Do not make me no gangster. And it irked me so bad. But but I listened though. I was like, okay, I got you. I understand. Like, I get it. You don't want to be unhinged. You don't want to be. You want to be a quiet man to himself, just trying to heal. Okay, child. I know I wrote like 5 scenes. I had to just be like, He was like, no, ma'am. I don't know who that is, but that ain't me. Y'all think I'm playing? I'm so serious. Like, so that's what I do with my books. I let the characters talk. I don't force anything. So that's why if a book is taking longer, I'm not even mad at it.
Hmm.
Let it simmer. And then too, a lot of times when I send my books off to get edited, child, I get that book back and I done added 5 more scenes. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like you have to sit in these things and allow these characters to marinate so that okay, if I love them first, then y'all can love them second. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
That's how I write it. Girl, I consider August my brother. I can't even say my man. I consider him like my little brother that I'm proud of. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah,
gonna come back to your favorite characters from your books.
yeah.
I kind of want to shift focus a little bit and ask you, what kind of Black love stories do we wish that you saw more in publishing today?
Urban. Um, I feel like right. We convey Black love authentically, right? Okay, how can I put this without sounding crazy? I'm in Florida again. There is no man that I know who sounds like every character you that I write, they sound like the men from Florida, and that's being authentic, right? Um, but putting that man on the shelf inside of a Barnes and Noble, it's like, hey, can you clean it up a little bit? And I just don't feel like we should have to clean it. I feel like we should be able to authentically tell our stories, and they still get as much. Because to me, right, if you go look at books that are not urban, but that are considered maybe like nonfiction, they be having some of the same words in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm confused on why that is more acceptable than urban romance when it's literally I don't get it. Like, you see mafia romances on the shelves, but we can't have gangsters on the shelves. Like, I'd be so confused. Like, I'm just, as somebody who's walked them aisles 100 times, I'm telling you, I didn't know one was worse than the other. Like, I'm confused. Like, are we not? And then they'll say, well, you know, but that's organized crime. Okay. But it's still, the word crime is the common denominator, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what, let's underline that word. Let's underline that. Like, I just wish that because it really is no sense behind it,
Mm-hmm.
other than just the, I don't know, the stigma they put on urban romance. It's disgusting, really, to me. But it is what it is. Look, that's why you got authors up and coming who gonna break down some of these doors, and they ain't gonna allow all this stuff going on all the time.
And just to your point, you said organized crime. I feel like the way y'all portray gangsters in book, their organizations are very
Thank you. I'm trying to. This is what I'm trying to say. As somebody who's read her fair share of mafia romance, I'm telling you, they far exceed any type of behavior that I have seen in urban. Like, I'll be confused. Like, now I know I read such and such book, and I'm pretty sure that man. I ain't gonna tell you what he did, but I'm pretty sure that's a lot worse than what this man just did over here.
mm-hmm.
But that's acceptable, but this one's not.
Mm-hmm.
No. No. And I think I think people don't understand that. I've been reading for years, right? And like I said, at that time there was not a lot of access to authors that look like me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was heavily reading books by the other demographic, right? But what I noticed is that I feel like, because this is my personal take on this, they don't feel like because many of us don't reach out and read other things, that we don't know that it exists. Like, we don't know, like, all these books are inside Barnes and Noble, but they won't put ours in there. No, we know. We just, it's like we be baffled. Like, we know, we not blind to the fact that, let me tell you, that's why I'm telling you, girl. Look, but yeah, it's they need to, see that we really do know. A lot of us know, like, and that's why it's funny to me when people get on social media talking all the mess they do about urban romance. But I commend every author that sees these type of videos, and it only makes us go harder. It only makes us greater. Like, I can't understand why people don't understand that the more y'all do to us, the greater it makes us. Like, it's the silver lining of it all.
As a reader, I've been on social media for a couple years in the book space, and so just as a reader, it's been a lot of overwhelming support that I've seen that our community has given a lot of
Yes.
authors. And I'm curious to see or to hear how your feelings are coming from an author's standpoint about the love that you are receiving, the praise that you're receiving from social media. How has it been for you over these last few years?
As someone who is constantly overthinking, I see, and this is just not from my personal experience as an author, but this is as an author in general. I love to see when the community uplifts Black authors, because again, before I was in this author space, I was in the reader space. I wasn't on social media. I didn't see it yet. So now that I am, it's like, man, y'all mean to tell me it's really stuff out here like it was really stuff out there like that. Like it does a great joy to see us being talked about in you know, in a beautiful light. Even if you don't have to always enjoy, you know, I got 30 something books. I'm sure even if I'm considered someone's favorite, they haven't loved all 30 plus of my books, but it's just a simple fact of I still support this author. I still support what they do. I still love what they do. You know what I'm saying? It is so much love to be had in this community, and the way it's portrayed, you know, I've made several good friends in this last year alone, just on TikTok, you know what I'm saying, reviewing books, and it's like, and I didn't realize some of them live close to me, so you know, and it's just you meet these people, and it's like, man, like the young me would have loved this, you know what I'm saying? But because I'm in my space now, my author space, I can't comment on things that I wish I could, because I really want to jump in the ring on so many occasions. But I got to remember what I'm doing for a living, because I've been full time. I've been a full time author for almost 5 years. Yes, it has. So I stay out of it, but child, you want to stay in it. Like, look, y'all. But see, that's why I love when the content creators or book reviewers, you know, when they see foolishness, when they handle it accordingly, because it just be so unnecessary most times. But the love on there far outweighs the foolishness on there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So how has, you know, these influencers and the readers, how has that kind of shaped your visibility and your success of your books today, or even in general Black romance books? How has that kind of shaped and created this platform? What do you see on your side? What it's done for you guys?
Man, like I said, I've been doing this full time for almost 5 years now, and it's like, until I stepped out of my comfort zone and actually started engaging. Now, first of all, I do have to say this. When I first came into this, and when people would say, "Hey, I loved your book," da da da, I would simply like their comment and say thank you, or I would like the comment, all the comments, and then say thank you at the bottom. And the publisher I had, she came to me and she said, "Don't do that." She was like, "You tell each individual person thank you, like you engage with these people." And the reason I understood exactly what she was saying, because I went back to when she told me thank you. And I'm like, see, this is why it's so important to engage with your readers. And a lot of times I go MIA off of social media if I'm, you know, trying to get a book done, or I'm on a deadline. So if it just look like I'm ignoring folks, I don't be, child. I just literally be immersed in trying to get stuff done. But for the most part, you know, I'm very humbled by just being in this space. Like, I don't take it lightly. Like, I know I can be creative today and tomorrow not have a lick of anything to put on a piece of paper. And that's how I live my life. As an author, that's how I live my life. Like, I don't think, oh, because I wrote a good book this year that I'm even going to have another book in me for the rest of the year. So I stay humble, and I just, you know what I'm saying, look, I'm just the same person with y'all that I am with my family. Like, the only reason I know I write books is because I write books. Like, I don't wake up in the morning like, oh, girl, you and Monique. Child, that is not my thought process. My thought process is, if them kids don't hurry up and get these clothes on so they can go to school. I'm the most normal. Like, girl, when I say jacked up life. But it's all good. I be putting my feelings in these books. So, yeah.
Do you think you're too early in your success to give any advice to any aspiring Black authors or, yeah, Black
Um,
romance authors? Anything you want to give, or do you think
I give
it's too early?
advice. I give advice that I can, and I tell them all the time. For people who do reach out, I say, look, I don't know everything. I still have to ask questions a lot. You know what I'm saying? Thank you to the authors who be like, hey girl, you know, and I'm like, ooh, thank you, girl, because I ain't know where to find it at, who to ask or nothing. But but I do give the advice that I give. You know, I'm not a gatekeeper. I tell the same stuff. Look, tell your story as if you're telling your best friend a story. You like, y'all got some juicy type of stuff going on, and she want to know every detail. Tell her the story just like that, and go scene by scene. Um, that's my formula for writing my books. Like, I don't have any type of I have barely outlined, y'all. I'm just being honest. Like, I outline novellas because they're shorter, but my longer books, I go with the characters because the more I let them talk, the more comes on the pages. But with novellas, you got to shut them folks up. Like I said, we're gonna talk about this in chapter 3, and that's all we're gonna talk about. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the. But yeah, I try to give advice. I try to answer questions to the best of my ability, and if I don't know the answer, I'm gonna tell you I don't know, and I'm gonna try to steer you in the right direction. Um,
Thank you, Simply Red. Thank you.
Thank you, Simply Red. Thank you. Listen, it's a roller coaster, but it's a fun one. And I don't even ride roller coasters, but it's a fun one. Um, yeah. So yeah.
Um, we're coming down on time, so I want to see what are you most excited about in your upcoming projects, or any teasers you want
Oh
to
my
share about your
god.
future books?
Okay, so I'm working on. I was this y'all. I was because my birthday's coming up. I had planned to release a couple of books on my birthday, right? And I put Dr. Bell to the side because he was doing too much. And I'm like, you doing too much. We had already talked about you coming out on my birthday, and now you want to act like this. So I had put him to the side and worked on other projects that I had prior to him that I could just finish, right? Because they are just novellas. Child, why folks? Dr. Bell yesterday said, no, you going to come finish this book, and then you can go talk to them other people. Like, come on over here and finish this book. So I'm working on him, but I know y'all will love him. He is something else. You will meet him. This book is a insta love, but it's also a slow burn. I do want to let y'all know that up front. And I'm working on those my novellas that has in it like co-ed flag football. I love it, y'all. It's so funny. But yeah, that was supposed to be coming out on my birthday, but child, no, he done kicked him to the curb. So I'm finishing up Dr. Bell, trying to get him done and complete so I can release him. But his story is also arranged marriage. That's one of the tropes. What else can I give y'all without telling these folks business? It's it's a good story. It's a good story. It's a great plot. Like it's a romantic suspense. From here on out, I think unless it's a novella, please hear me. Unless it's a novella, you're probably only going to see romantic suspense from me. Okay, unless it's a novella, or unless I say otherwise.
Okay. I did want to ask though, before we get into like any questions that anybody has, out of all the characters, and you might already answer this with August, but out of all the characters you've written, is there a particular couple or individual that kind of holds a special place in your heart?
I hate to say him because really he ain't no more, but I got to because he is who changed my career, and that's Blue. Because Blue, when I released Blue, I can't even tell you why his book blew up. I can't even tell you. I do know that it changed the course of my career. I gained a lot of readers because of Blue. As a matter of fact, when they read Blue, they didn't know Blue had the twin grade in Uncovering Love, so it made them go back and read Uncovering Love. Then Kingston came. Kingston did leaps and bounds over Blue and Gray, and then it was like, what y'all got going on? Because I don't really know what's going on, so I just went with it. There was a lot of pressure after Blue to try to updo him, but at the same time, once I got into writing Kingston, it was very clear that I didn't want to put that pressure on myself, so I just said, write the book. You know what I'm saying? Either they're gonna love them or they're not. But Blue really, really, really helped me gain so many new readers, just like August did. Because I really wanted to say August, but really I got to give it to Blue because that's where a lot of readers came and said, you know what, let me try Monique. And yeah, so.
And I'm a little biased. I like Kingston, but
Me too. Like I said, he did leaps and bounds over Blue. And it's funny because I wish I could say him, but I know people only read Kingston because they read Blue. People only read Uncovering Love because they read Blue. Now, when August came, the people who hadn't read any of them only read the series because of August, because August did leaps and bounds over all the rest of them. 10 times over. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. It was just a lovely series. Like, yeah, I love them boys.
Is there any praise or recognition, awards that you received that kind of stick with you, that kind of solidified that what you're doing, your vocation as a writer, is what you should be doing right now? Like anything that's solidified that? Anything recently or anything?
So I've won 2 Gem Awards for the K. Renee Literary Gem Awards. I've won 2 of those, and I also won a Black Girls Who Read Award for a sports romance that I did, collab I did. But my praise that matters to me is people loving my books. It's people reading my books. I don't care where my books come on the chart. I just want people to read my books. I just want people to love my books. I want people to say, you know what? When I crack this book open, I know Monique is going to tell a story. That's what I love. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I've been on the other side and I see as a reader, man, them folks know that book wasn't good. Why they giving them all this stuff? They know doggone well that book wasn't good. So as a writer, trust me, my thing is I love when readers actually love my work. And everything else I'm cool with. I love it and I'm humbled by it. But what really resonates with me is people actually reading my work. Yeah. Y'all so messy. I'm not fooling with y'all. I'm being honest though.
Well, I hope everybody who had joined this live learned something about you and your writing. This is your first time reading or getting to know Monique. I hope you guys visit her catalog. We didn't even talk about some of my favorites. Stillwater's, Hood Flower Girl. We didn't even talk about some of my favorites, and that's okay. That's quite all right. I'm biased. I'm really biased. But
Stillwater's has a 3rd book that I'm working on this year. I'm excited for that. Yeah, I love Phoenix and Blaze Down. And I love Poppy.
like I said, I'm biased. So I don't even want to say they don't get enough recognition because I feel like
You're right. I'm gonna have to get them together. But yeah, thank y'all so much for having me.
I appreciate you joining me for this live and getting to talk with us
Thank you.
about how your writing is going and, Black love and literature. So thank you so much.